Step into realms where the heart takes flight, where strategy meets the edge of night. The dungeons, dragons, and psychology parts. Prepare your mind. Now be our guest.
There is an event that changes the way that we think about something, a shift in perspective. It alters our understanding of the world around us. So this is like in The Giver when the character switches from seeing the world in black and white to suddenly perceiving it in vibrant color. And this can happen in our games and our real lives. I'm Robert Walker, author of Session Zero, the DMG to writing great campaigns in any system. And this is my show where I teach collaborative storytellers how to have more immersive campaigns using psychology. And today we're talking about a fascinating topic that can dramatically impact our lives, both our lives out of character and our characters' lives in the game, and that is paradigm shifts. Now, a paradigm shift is a fundamental change in the way that we think about something. It changes the way that we understand the world. It changes the way that we perceive things and interact with the world. In role-playing games, you've heard me talk about this many times if you've listened to the show for long, these events are often plot twists. They change dramatically the course of the campaign. They can force the players to adopt and rethink their strategies and how they're moving forward with the story. Now, there are a few ways that you can add a paradigm shift to your game if you're thinking about a plot twist or something like that. First, you can introduce unexpected elements. New information, characters, or locations that challenge the player's assumptions, what they know in character. For example, if you reveal a long-lost artifact that changes the balance of power in the story, or introduce a mysterious force that threatens to destroy the world, now that's all of a sudden a big shift that the players are going to have to focus on. But it can also be something as simple as a friend is unexpectedly a villain, or a villain is unexpectedly an ally. Subvert expectations by turning familiar tropes on their heads. The wise old wizard might actually be the villain who's been giving them bad information all along, or the invincible dragon could be a misunderstood creature just looking for help, or something else fascinating along those lines. Like, think of a dragon whose goal is actually to help the damsel in distress rather than to lock it away in the tower. Maybe it's protecting it for something. Just little subtle shifts in the status quo is going to lead to a good paradigm shift in the game. And having your players adapt is going to be really important for this. Make sure that the paradigm shift presents a real challenge. They should have to rethink their plans. They should have to adjust their strategies, even reconsider their characters' motivations. I think those are the strongest ones altogether, is when a paradigm shift forces your characters, your players, to rethink the entire way that their character looks at the world. That's why plot twists are great, because if they are well designed and well executed, they can change the entire way that they're playing the game or understanding the world in which their character lives. I've talked about that a lot on this show. We've delved into plot twists on different episodes. But what we haven't talked about, and what I really wanted to focus on today, is when paradigm shifts occur in our personal lives, especially when that paradigm shift happens around the gaming table. Something happens either in the story or amongst your group of friends that forces a paradigm shift. When we face these unexpected changes, which do happen if you play games for a long time, especially if you play with a good group of people that you've been together knowing for a long time, you've gotten to know each other very well, these things happen. So I will tell you about a couple of the times that it has happened in my own life around the gaming table that I've been involved in at the time. And the reason I want to share this is because these moments can be extremely impactful for your own personal psychology, and they can enrich the game as well. And that's what they've done for me when they've occurred. So first thing you need to do is just make sure that you're open-minded. If you're going to cling to old beliefs and assumptions, you're not going to have the opportunity for a paradigm shift. You need to be willing to consider new perspectives and adjust your own personal beliefs when something challenges it in a unique way. If you have the opportunity to look at yourself and to investigate your own assumptions, you're going to have the opportunity to, aside from staying open-minded, you have to also be able to embrace uncertainty. A paradigm shift is a change. It's a change in thinking. And change can be unsettling, but it is an opportunity for growth, like I said. So embracing uncertainty, seeing it as a chance to learn and to evolve is going to help you be okay when these things happen, and finding meaning in the shift, finding meaning in the change. There should be a silver lining if it's a positive growth paradigm shift. What opportunities can it bring, and how can it improve not only yourself, but the group in which you find yourself in? So one of the first major paradigm shifts that we as a group encountered was early on in our gaming group. We used to do this thing where if one member of the group was away from the game, we would sort of, well, let's call it what it was. We would punish the players by not awarding experience to their character if they weren't there. So a character that had real life things going on for the player would end up being lower level and less powerful than the rest of the party. Now, for us, it was at the time we were thinking, oh, this is just, you're getting a experience reward for showing up for game. But the paradigm shift occurred when we sat down and talked about this strategy. And one of the players around the table who had missed a few games and their character was falling behind said something that has stuck with me every day since then. And what they said was that the punishment isn't that their character is falling behind. The punishment for not being at game is that they don't get to spend time with their friends. And then when they do get to spend time with their friends, they're constantly in a state of being punished for not having been there and already having been punished. So it's sort of like a cyclical thing that hearing that and hearing the perspective of the other player shifted the way that I thought about it. I was no longer thinking about it of, oh, here's your reward for coming to the game. It was, oh, we are making the friendly encounter less friendly and less fun for the person. And I think that is a really important thing to notice when you're having a paradigm shift is how is the way that you're thinking affecting and impacting other people? And what we found was the way that we were doing it was having a very negative impact on the friend space, on our group, and simply by ignoring the quote unquote rewards we were giving to those who showed up, keeping everybody on the level playing field, it let the entire group still have the same amount of fun with their characters' abilities and prowess when they were all there. And then all of a sudden that negative attribute of coming to game was gone and everybody was still on a level playing field. So if you've done something like that, this might be an opportunity for a paradigm shift for you. Think about it in a different perspective. Think that you're not actually punishing the player, you're punishing the whole friend group because you're not allowing an individual to have as much fun when you hold their character's XP ransom or levels ransom simply because they had real life things to do. That's something we need to accept is if somebody has the opportunity to come and play with us, as a dungeon master, you should be making it as fun for everyone as possible. Don't make it negative for one person because they had other things happen in their life on a previous week or whatever the case may be. A second paradigm shift that I witnessed in real life happened as I was creating the show. Early on in the show, if you've listened from the beginning, you've probably heard me talk about some of the character races like the Drow. And early on, I held this assumption that I was really clinging to the stories of the Drow that I had read from R.A. Salvatore, embracing that the Drow were these dark, evil elves, and ignoring the idea that there was a better way to look at how to incorporate races into your game and to incorporate alignment into your game. So it took me some time, and it took people commenting on some of my videos and saying, hey, why don't you consider this perspective, before I finally let my mind open up to the idea that there is an entirely different way to look at how races and alignment can work in the game, or species as they're calling them now in 1D&D. And the time that it took me to arrive at this paradigm shift, I think was far too long, but when I finally took the time to read the things that even the author who I enjoyed was saying about the different drow cultures, and that it was groups of individuals who had a evil following from a dark goddess that was causing that specific sect of drow to be a problematic and an evil group. It wasn't the race itself that was evil. And so incorporating that idea that a specific race within the world of D&D isn't good or evil, it is only the groups in which they are part of, the upbringing, or the individual choices that they make, really opened my mind up to the idea of playing with a lot more creativity when it came to races and species and all the things that could encompass, because those tropes exist. So embracing a new way to look at it can be a way of adding a plot twist to the story and adding a lot more immersion and excitement to your game when you turn that trope on its head and embrace a new way of looking at how alignment works in the game. Now go ahead and grab your pencil and paper, because it is time for Tricks of the Trade. While it could be very difficult to explain how to create a paradigm shift out of game, I would just say remember to be open to those things when they occur. But for today's Tricks of the Trade, let's talk about a few ways to create a paradigm shift in the game, also known as a good plot hook. So I'm going to give you 3 ideas of how to set up a plot hook, seemingly from early on in the game, and then having it occur later in the story. So the first plot twist is a classic hidden identity plot twist. So here you would introduce a seemingly minor character who appears to be a simple townsfolk or a minor NPC. This is really great if it's one of those that the players have a good connection with and they really like the personality or the voice, or it's just an NPC they keep finding themselves drawn to interacting with. And then the twist would be revealing later on that this character is actually a powerful sorcerer or a secret agent or even a long-lost relative of one of the players. The twist can be anything, just make sure that this minor NPC or townsfolk ends up being important to the story and adds a layer of complexity that provides new opportunities for character development for your player characters, and it can provide or ease conflict within the story. Now, the second plot twist is a betrayal from within. You've probably heard me talk about the way that this was pulled off in our games to stunning degree at a couple different points. But here you introduce a companion or an ally who seems to be a loyal member of the party or a close ally of the party. Now, in my case, I actually played one game where I set up the main big bad guy to be a player character who was with the party from the beginning of the game and worked right alongside them, sort of subterfuge occurring to destroy their plans and know all of their secrets. And then there was a big reveal moment when the party realized that another player character was actually the big bad guy. The last several sessions of the game was party versus party. It was quite interesting. But the way you would do it is just have a point where you reveal that the character has been working for a rival faction or a sinister organization or is the big bad evil guy. That reveal moment can be tense and dramatic. I remember we were all on edge and had quite a bit of fun with it, but it forces the players to confront their own trust issues and even question their loyalties. In my case, that was even player loyalties to the DM, but it was still a lot of fun. And the third and final trick of the trade plot twist is going to be a time jump plot twist. Now, this would introduce a mysterious artifact or a spell or a portal that would shift the party through time. You would use this to transport the party to a different time period, either in the past or the future, and this could create a fresh and unexpected challenge. Now, the way I really like this is if you play almost an entire campaign where your party is going along and they're hearing stories about these heroes from a time long past and the great acts that they did to save the world or something that they had to do to save the world. And the stories of these adventurers and heroes have been told for so long, Your party is still hearing these tales constantly throughout the campaign. And then at the end of the campaign, there's this time jump where they find out that they are back in time and they are actually the heroes that they've been hearing about this whole time. So they sort of know what they have to do with that final confrontation. They know what the heroes did because they've heard the stories. Now they just have to embody those stories because they are the heroes. Now remember, a well-planned plot twist should be surprising and it should be satisfying. It needs to make sense within the context of the story and provide new opportunities for adventures and character growth. If you incorporate those kind of plot twists into your games, you will make some unforgettable experiences. They have been some of the most memorable stories that we have continued to tell. And paradigm shifts in general are exciting and challenging. In game, they are those unforgettable moments, like I said. In real life, they can help us grow and adapt a constantly changing world. So the next time you find yourself faced with a paradigm shift, whether it's in the game or in your own life, remember to embrace change and see it as an opportunity for growth and for personal adventure. That is it for today, Cyclothids. Until next time, may your dice rolls be lucky and your adventures filled with excitement. Remember to review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Always be open to the unexpected, and we'll see you next session.